Hello, welcome. Maybe you've heard of Marvel's Civil War crossover from 2006. What else was happening in 2006? Well, Pluto was downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet. That's not what we're here to talk about, however, as we are here to recap what happened in Marvel's critically acclaimed Civil War event. Here's my unbiased account. It all started with reality TV. The Real Housewives of the New Warriors decided they wanted to make a show of their heroics and ended up attacking a bunch of villains who were involved in a budget-friendly house share arrangement. Unfortunately, one of these villains was a man named Nitro, who can explode and reform himself, so he explodes, as you'd expect. A lot of people perish, including children. The more seasoned heroes, like the Avengers and the X-Men, turn up to help with the cleanup efforts. Mutant-killing Sentinels are present to keep an eye on the X-Men, because prejudice. Ha! The public now hates superheroes, and one mother who lost their child to Nitro's explosion confronts Tony Stark at the memorial and spits in his face. This is fine to do though, because Tony Stark is evil. But more on that later. As the media hate train chugs along, all heroes are targeted. The Human Torch is beaten up outside a nightclub by civilians. This prompts heroes from all over to gather and argue about whether they should be held accountable for the New Warriors' fumblings and how to stop collateral damage. Which, if you've ever read any comic, is impossible. S.H.I.E.L.D. approach Captain America and want him to be the poster boy for their new Superhuman Registration Act. This act would see all superheroes turned into a police force and act as agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America says, "No thank you. I love individual freedoms and punching nerds like Vulture outside of the law. Thanks." He then jumps out of the helicarrier, lands on a jet, and flies off to form the anti-registration forces. Back with the rest of the heroes, the Watcher, a being that appears at times of great change in the Marvel Universe, looms over their gathering like a sex pest. This foreshadows doom. At the White House, it is revealed that the heroes spearheading the pro-registration forces are a group of nerds. Tony Stark, Mr. Fantastic, and of course Hank, stop reminding me about Ultron, Pym. Mr. Fantastic, knowing a conflict is about to kick off, decides to build his own prison industrial complex in the Negative Zone to house all his former friends that he hopes to arrest in the coming days. Human rights laws don't extend to the Negative Zone as far as I'm concerned, and that's a worrying development to say the least. The act is passed through and made into law, but the Young Avengers don't care and operate as usual, leading to their arrest. However, Captain America's beefy boys are on hand to bust them free of the paddy wagon and spirit them to one of Nick Fury's magic mischief bunkers that's been converted into a base for the anti-registration forces. Preying on Spider-Man's admiration for him, Iron Man manages to manipulate the impressionable young hero to reveal his identity to the world, endorsing the Registration Act and publicly causing J. Jonah Jameson to be considered legally dead for 5 seconds due to shock. Don't worry, Spidey fans, this will be reversed later when Doctor Strange makes everyone forget about the face reveal, because he's magic, and magic just does that, and fuck you. But where is Doctor Strange? He's off meditating for the entire conflict, because wizards are unpredictable and shouldn't be relied upon for anything. Mr. Fantastic tries to recruit the Black Panther to the pro-registration cause, and gets told to fuck off. Iron Man tries to recruit the X-Men to the pro-registration cause, and gets told to fuck off. Nova, the human rocket, arrives from outer space to warn everyone about the Annihilation Wave, an all-consuming wave of space bugs intent on destroying all life in the galaxy. Iron Man ignores this and asks him to join the pro-registration forces. Gets told to fuck off. Recruitment is not going well for the nerds. The very illegal but nonetheless heroic forces of Captain America need secret identities. They give Hercules the fake ID of an IT technician. What could go wrong? Steve Rogers and his Himbo Alliance receive a distress call from an abandoned location. It's definitely not an ambush, so they answer the call. It's an ambush. All hell breaks loose when Old Man Rogers bamboozles Iron Man with a deceptive handshake, allowing him to attach a device to his armor that downgrades his operating systems to Windows Vista. The teleporters Cap brought along are tranquilized, meaning they can't escape, so a fight ensues, a real slobber knocker for the ages. Thor turns up and kills Goliath. Don't worry though, fans, it's not really Thor. It's a robot clone made from a stray piece of Thor's hair that Tony found at his couch, because Tony Stark is evil. Terminator Thor proceeds to slap the living piss out of everyone, before the Invisible Woman defects to Cap's team and helps them escape using the powers of the greatest hero of all time, elemental hero, Bubble Man. The pro-registration nerds confronted with their part in the murder of Goliath have time to reflect. Upon reflection, Tony Stark starts bolstering his numbers with supervillains, because Tony Stark is evil. Spider-Man has had enough. He hates murder and tells Tony he's leaving. He beats up Iron Man and is pursued by the aforementioned supervillains. Hounded and beaten down, Peter Parker is confronted in the sewers by villains who want to kill him. Stark swore this wouldn't happen because of technology, but this is the man who is often defeated by his own technology. Before the nasty men can kill Spidey, the Punisher arrives to give each of them a lead sandwich and spirits the beaten Spider-Man to Captain America's sleepaway camp for highly illegal jocks. Nobody knows how Frank Castle found it, but they are happy that he saved Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Daredevil is unfortunately arrested, and the security guards find a silver coin under his tongue. When Tony asks him why it's there, Daredevil tells Stark that it's for him and calls him Judas. Biblical burn. The newly defected Sue Storm travels to Atlantis to appeal to their king, Namor, to help Steve with his war to protect freedom. Namor, who once helped Cap bully Hitler, is absolutely down to clown. Back at the ranch, some villains ask to join Cap and are immediately shot in the face by the Punisher. Unfortunately for him, Cap is running on a platform of no murder allowed, and beats him up. Captain America and his merry band of banter boys storm Mr. Fantastic's interdimensional prison to #FreeTheBoys. They're cut off by Iron Man's nerds and criminals, and a slap fight for the ages begins. The prison goes into meltdown, forcing Cloak, a teleporter, to save everyone by teleporting them to New York. Apparently almost dying means nothing to anyone, and a super slap fight continues. Cap's motley mob of man-meat are outnumbered, until Namor, the king of Atlantis, and my heart, arrives to even the odds. Acknowledging he is technically too old for this shit, Steve gets Vision to disable Tony Stark's armor, so they can have a fair fist fight. I know what you're thinking. That's not fair, because Steve is an enhanced human. Well, you have to consider the fact that nerds don't deserve rights. Captain America calls upon the spirit power of the whole universe to give Iron Man the most thorough beating of his life, a beating so severe he has to stop and ask the authorities to arrest him. The story ends with the superhero community split down the middle, and Steve Rogers is killed later after testifying for his crimes and breach of the Superhuman Registration Act, a heavy-handed metaphor for the death of freedom in the superhero community. So that was Civil War. I probably left some stuff out, and I don't care. I might have left some minor bias, but I'm sure it's barely noticeable, and we got it in post-production. What arc will I recap next? Certainly not Shadowlands, that's for sure.